win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win.
Mr. President.
Hello.
What great honor.
Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the days shall come, that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. 2 Ezra chapter 5, verse 1 to 3. Shalom. I want to start by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors of venerable apostles and those of great millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Aharon coming back at you with another lesson, low willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and I'm going to jump straight into it. All right, we have an article here, and it's titled, Economists Warn That Trump's New Tariffs Will Impact Lower Income Households the Hardest. Okay, and that's the working class, otherwise known as the laborers. Okay, in the book of Job, the 20th chapter, the 22nd verse, all right, it talks about, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him, right? And that hand of the wicked is talking about the workers. When you go into that word, wicked, it goes into a word, the Hebrew word aimal, all right, which means laborer. Okay, so the laborer or / working class people, are eventually they're going to group up and revolt against their oppressors, and the oppressor is going to come in with draconian measures because they have to institute order. Okay, and this is the things that leads to the chaos that we've been talking about for all these years. Okay, there's a lot of hard times that's yet to happen, and they found a very clever way to bring it to pass. Okay, that's why the scripture says that the serpent was more subtle than any beast in the field. Okay, so Esau is very, very cunning with his devices. All right, but it says here, and remember, in the book of Revelation, as a matter of fact, let's get that real quick. All right, that it's through deception. All right, it's through deception that these devils will force people to take that MOTB. Okay, let's see if we can find that real quick. There you go. There's the book of Revelation, chapter 13. Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, it says, And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And that's going into the war in heaven. Okay, after Yahushua comes back with his angels, when they go up, as they're coming down, Esau and his armies are gonna wage war against the Heavenly Father's son and his angels and his army. Okay, that's where we're gonna have that intergalactic war. All right, that's why you have the 6th branch of the U.S. Military, all right, which is known as the Space Force. Okay, and it was brought in during Trump's first term. Okay, from his first term is when they brought in the sixth branch of the U.S. military, the Space Force, and now in his second term, Lord willing, we're going to see, all right, that that branch go into work. Okay, and they're going to be devoured and demolished. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, as Ezra says, upon a sudden, an innumerable multitude was destroyed. Okay, and all he saw was a smell of smoke. All right. So Revelation 13 verse 14 says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Right. So right now we have the system that's currently in motion. All right, is being transformed into this digital form. Okay. So the image, which is the system that is based on the Roman system, is being given a life form through AI. Okay, which, Lord willing, we're going to go into that another time. But all right, the point is they're going to use deception to bring in, all right, their so-called New World Order. Okay, and people are deceived into thinking that whatever Trump is doing, all right, is going to bring the reprieve that they've been wishing for all these years. Not one president has actually come in, all right, over the past 10, 20 years, has come in to say, oh, you know what, my policies are going to make America actually great again, because it's biblical prophecy that this place is going down. Okay, all the end time prophecies that befall that great land known as Babylon, the great in the scriptures, we're seeing all those things happen to America. So it only makes sense that America is Babylon the Great, based on what we're actually witnessing. Okay, it says President Donald Trump's latest tariff proposals have sparked widespread concern among economists and policy analysts, with multiple news outlets reporting that these measures will disproportionately affect lower income households. And who is that predominantly going to be targeting? Jake. Okay, the reality says Jake. All right, right now, when you look at the top 1% of the wealthiest Americans, all right, you don't see Jake does not. They don't run the board. They don't run across the board like that. Jake don't do that. Okay, it's predominantly the Edomites. They have that power and control. When you talk about the billionaires, the top 5 richest people, you're not going to see no Jake in there. You know, but it's all Edomites. All right, because they have that power. They rule the world. So when these tariffs and stuff is going on, it's not going to affect them as much. Okay, they have alternative ways to go around these things. All right, but the average person, nah. All right, and those are the ones that this is all targeting. Okay, because tariffs are simply taxes upon the people. All right, it says the tariffs targeting imports from countries such as China and Vietnam are expected to raise the cost of everyday essentials like food, clothing, and electronics, items that form a significant portion of the budgets of America's poorest families. See? So if this guy is supposed to make America great again, why are people about to suffer? Okay? Remember, our Lord said, let's see if we can get that real quick. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and start at verse 4. Actually, start at verse 3. All right, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. Right? You got this guy, Bishnate. All right, Bishnate comes. He thinks that he's the anointed. All right, he thinks he's anointed, and he's preaching all these wayward doctrines, man. Anyway, verse 6: And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And we're seeing all those things happening right now. All right, we've been seeing it, but now it's more so now than ever before. Okay, now we're actually hearing the main players that we've been talking about that's going to spark World War III. We're seeing them being positioned on the chessboard. Okay, we see Russia. We've been seeing Russia. All right, the United States, of course, NATO, EU against Russian so-called allies, and so on and so forth. We've seen Israel, all right, in the mix. Okay, Israel, Ukraine, it's pretty much the same people, right? In the mix against the so-called Iranians. All right, they're shifting into that territory. They already got Syria, so now they go for Iran. Remember, they've had this plan for years. All right, and I believe General Wesley Clark even mentioned that back in the early 2000s. All right, about how the U.S. was planning to topple several countries in the Middle East. Okay, all because of J-ish interests. All right, and they were willing to go to war to establish that area for the so-called Jays, for their so-called Greater Israel Project. All right, so all these things they've been planning for all these years, man. All right, and Iran and Syria are two countries that were part of that plan to topple those governments. Okay, so we've seen what they've done out in Palestine and Gaza. Okay, we've seen what they've done in Syria right now, even though the news is not covering it. All right, it's out of control. They kicked Assad out, you know, because he was resisting it, so they kicked him out. They set up a coup, try to kill him and shit, you know, and now the whole country is a mess. And now they're trying to do the same thing. They've been knocking out a lot of Iranian generals, and, you know, they've been doing it. Assassination attempts and actual assassinations. They have been doing it. Israel and the U.S. So they've set up the stage, right? Ultimately, the Heavenly Father has set up the stage where, at this point, those wars, those rumors of wars, we've seen it, we've heard it, right? We know exactly what's coming, all right? And at this point, the only thing that's left is the MOTB prophecy, all right? And we could very well see that thing either this year or next year, all right? Based on how these devils are speaking, by October, they said they're going to be officially in the at least a deadline to make America completely cashless, right? So shifting completely over into the digital economic framework, so to speak. You know, they already said that they're backing Bitcoin, they're backing it with the gold now, right? So that's very interesting. So we're gonna see, right? So the signs that the Lord gave us, right? Going down to Matthew 24 and verse 7 says, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Myanmar last week, 7.7 earthquake, 7.7 magnitude earthquake. I believe they said Texas was hit. It was multiple earthquakes, 4 point something, and so on and so forth. Right? So that's just to give you a few, but man, earthquakes been happening on a rapid scale, all right, in diverse places over the past few years. You know what I'm saying? Like heavy earthquakes since like the past 3, 4, 5 years, really. You know? But we've seen all these signs, right? But the Lord said what? Famines and pestilences. Okay, so what we're about to see, which we're about to read through right now, all right, is going to be fulfilling all these prophecies, man. Famines and pestilences, right? It says, NBC News recently highlighted the economic fallout of these tariffs, noting that lower income households which spend a larger share of their earnings on basic goods will bear the brunt of the price increases. What did the Lord say? Matthew 24 and verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? When you read it in the NLT, it says, but all this is only the first of the birth pains with more to come. You hear that? So what we're reading about these tariffs and how it's going to affect people is just the first of the birth pains and more to come. All right. And you've been hearing it from apostles of Great Millstone on down. We've been saying that this is going to get so bad that when they offer that CHIP, people are going to be willing to take it. Okay, because it's the Heavenly Father's test. All right. So continue, it says, unlike wealthier Americans who can more easily absorb higher costs or shift spending to domestic alternatives, those in the bottom income brackets have fewer options. There you go. Okay. It says economists cited in the report estimate that these tariffs could reduce after-tax incomes for the lowest earners by as much as 6.3%, a stark contrast to the minimal impact felt by higher income groups. The Washington Post echoed this sentiment, pointing out that Trump's tariff strategy, touted as a means to protect American jobs, often overlooks the ripple effects on consumers. Okay, and now how can you come up with a plan that you have loopholes in the plan? It's the plan is not foolproof, but yet people are supporting it. You know, that's how you know it's all done by design. This is something that they've been doing, but they're officially kicking it in gear. See what I'm saying? They've been building to it over the years, but now it's officially. Look at the stock market. This thing is going down. They're saying that a lot of people are going to lose their 401k and their pension plans and all these different things this weekend. As I'm doing this lesson right now, it's Friday night. All right, or I guess Saturday early morning. Okay. See? So that whole stuff, and you know, they've been conditioning people over the years, right? So people are in their minds, stock market goes down, it goes back up. It goes down, it goes back up. So they're used to that. So this time they're going to get that shock to the system where it goes down and the expectation of it goes back up never happens. See, it never happens. When you have Jerome Powell coming out and saying that, yo, these tariffs are going to have, what did he say? He said something to the effect of the effects of these tariffs is more than what they actually expected or anticipated. When you start hearing things like that, you should be very concerned. Okay? You should be very concerned. That's if you're somebody who depends on this system. All right? Those of us who keep our faith in the Lord and He's been holding us all through, though we're in the system, we're not off the system. All right? So it's not going to affect us as much. All right? We have that mindset, the spiritual mindset that we ain't got nothing to lose. You know, we have everything to gain. Really. You know? So, going back down, it says the paper referenced historical data from Trump's earlier tariff policies, which similarly hit low-income Americans hardest by driving up the cost of imported goods like clothing and groceries. All right, those are two very important things. Remember, a few weeks or months ago, I did a lesson going into Maslow's hierarchy. All right, every now and again, you know, it's good to use those kind of examples. But Esau is just, he's literally knocking the system, the people, down to the basic needs of survival. Right? Your food, shelter, right? That's about it, right? Food and shelter is what you need for survival. And people tend to be very, very, very cold-blooded when they get into that state of mind. You know, in the sense that it's a survival kind of state. So that means that they'll do anything in order to survive. See, that's that mindset. So Esau is already preparing everyone for that. The UBI system and everything. You know, imagine all these tariffs is going to affect, how it's going to affect the system as a whole. Right? People who depend on a lot of these companies, that have these ties with, different companies. Let's just put it like that, right? So maybe you're a patient, you might be using a certain insurance company or a certain pharmaceutical company, whatever, right? And now you're going to be taking a deficiency, or you're going to be taking a hit because the tariffs are going to be affecting their delivery, their processing, and they're going to pass it down on you. See, so expect letters in the mails, expect emails on your emails, right? Sending you information, letting you know that, hey, due to the tariffs imposed by Trump and so on and so forth, this and that service that used to be this much is now about to be this much. And there's nothing you can do about it. You still want the service. There's a reason why you subscribe to it, right? Maybe your medication or whatever, right? Think about it like that. Everything is going to go up. Everything you order, whether you're going to the physical store or you buy it online, it's all going to go up. Shipping costs is going to go up. Delivery is going to go up, right? Everything. And this is also going to have an effect on the individual stores, like mom and pop shops, just like it did with the CV. This time, you're not going to be getting those stimulus checks to keep you afloat. This time, it's going to be game over. It's either you convert all the way to the digital, or it's either you incorporate the MOTB system in your systems, or you're going to have to shut down. See? So it's coming. This is all the setup to it. All right, the people are not going to be getting those stimulus checks, so they're not going to be out there spending like that. Unless you want to have a UBI, then yeah, under certain conditions, you can get some universal basic income. You have to meet the requirements. You must have a digital ID. You must be micro C-hipped, right? You must be digitally identifiable, and that's when you're going to be eligible for a universal basic income account. And then you can go from there. Esau is very, very diabolical. All right. So continuing, it says, the burden is expected to intensify, just like the birth pains. It intensifies the closer the woman gets to birth. All right. Or at least delivery. Right. It says what? The burden is expected to intensify with the new tariffs expanding to cover a broader range of products. See? So it's not just America's tariffs that's going to affect, your groceries, but these other countries are also going to be putting tariffs on American products. So it's like a back and forth. America is just going to be taking the brunt of it. Your offensive is a problem. Your defensive is a problem. You're done. See, when your offense is working against you and your defense is also working against you, you're done. You're finished. And that's what America is at right now. It says Bloomberg provided a deeper dive into the mechanics, explaining that tariffs act as a regressive tax, disproportionately taxing those who can least afford it. The outlet noted that essentials like cheap electronics and apparel, heavily reliant on imports from Asia, will see significant price hikes. And another thing too, going into famines real quick. They said that rice is about to be affected if it hasn't already. Okay, the weather, there's a lot of weird anomalies that's happening in certain countries that produce rice, for the masses, including the ones that comes all the way here to the West. Apparently, there's some issues going on there. And so rice is going to be a huge problem very soon to be actually getting some rice to eat, So we definitely, it's all happening quickly. Beautiful. All right, so continuing, it says, man, this is crazy. It says, for a family already stretched thin, right? An extra few dollars on a pair of shoes or a week's groceries could force tough trade-offs. Listen to that. skipping meals or foregoing other necessities. You still think the American dream exists? Do you still believe that all this madness that's going on right now is for the greater good? Don't you remember the same shit that they said during the CV when it happened? Oh, what did they say? Bend the curve? Oh, 2 weeks to bend the curve. Right? Oh, the tariffs is just for a short time, just so we can get everything back to normal and then we good again. Don't worry. It's gonna be good at the end of it all. Right now it's gonna be tough, but at the end of it all, it's gonna be good. And it never ever ends. Next thing you know, you're in a whole new world where you're like, damn, like we lost everything. Yes, you did. And they deceived you into making you go along with it. Yep. So yeah, skipping meals or foregoing other necessities. So it's going to be a sacrifice. All right, that's a bad state. That's a terrible state to be in. Okay. It says CNN added a political angle, reporting that critics of the policy, including some Democratic lawmakers, argue it contradicts Trump's populist promises to uplift working class Americans. Because the plan was never to uplift working class Americans. There's so many jobs out there. Why would this guy come up running on no tax on tips? No tax on tips? What do you mean? Like, so that means everybody works in the service industry? No, not really. Not everyone works with that. So what kind of policies are you setting? Remember, during the so-called presidential race, we kept saying that, yo, these people are not serious. What policies are they actually running on? It's like a back and forth. Oh, you said this, so I'm gonna say this about you, and then, oh, this person is foolish. Oh, this person is stupid. Oh, this guy is just trying to be a dictator. Oh, this girl, she's just crazy. She doesn't even know how to talk. She can barely answer questions on interviews. It was just back and forth like kids, you know. And they weren't really giving the American people anything to stand on. Like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do for you, and da da da. This is a plan we've set. It's gonna do this. Nah. And all the things that he so-called promised to the American people, right? He's doing everything but that. See? He's doing everything but that. Because ain't nobody asked for this type of tariff shit. All right? People said bring their light bill down, stop the war. These are things that people were saying you thought you said you was going to do. Oh, as soon as I get into power, within 24 hours of the war, I'll stop the war. Oh, I just call Putin and we stop the war. It's easy. He was on Joe Rogan talking that type of shit. You know? He said, oh, Biden is incompetent. Shit. I'll get on the phone with Putin right now. I could end the war right now. The war's been going on. And Putin is even telling you, you step a foot and mess with Iran, we're going to come see you. How you stop the war? Shit, you talking about you going to stop the war. Now the threat is coming towards you. All right? So it's over with for Babylon. All right, it's over with. The people are about to suffer like never before. It's over with. Okay? It says they point to the disparity between the tax cuts, which largely benefit higher earners, and these tariffs, which hit the poorest the hardest. That's tough. It says one analyst quoted in the piece suggested that the tariffs could cut the purchasing power of low-income households by up to 4%, double the impact on the wealthiest Americans. Reuters offered a global perspective, noting that retaliatory tariffs, from affected countries like China could further complicate the situation. See? So it's going to get worse and worse, potentially raising costs on additional goods and squeezing American consumers even more. All right? They want to shift everything into the digital, man. The next 6 months is going to be brutal. Okay? It's going to be brutal, man. 6 months, that's a long time. This guy's been doing a lot in just two and a half months. 6 months is a long, long time for a lot to change. You can go from one world to the next within 6 months. Shit, within a week. Within a day. Within a day. With just one event, one incident, it could change everything. How much more 6 months? So continuing, it says, and right now with AI and shit, AI does not take long to grow. These things, the speed at which these things are advancing, man. Book of Daniel did say that knowledge shall increase, but man, it's amazing. It's crazy. All right. It says here, the outlet emphasized that while the tariffs aim to bolster domestic manufacturing, the immediate pain will be felt most acutely by those least equipped to weather it, right? And look, that whole, like I said, the whole concept of, we bringing jobs back here, and companies got to come here and establish themselves. If not, they're going to be paying these outrageous. Everyone is moving to robots and automation, bro. They don't need people like that. All right, they just need a few just to run the machines, and that's about it. The machines run the people now. They just need ones that could run the machines that run the people. For now, teach them how to do it, and then after that, you're of no use. But until they get there, where machines run everything 100%, they still gonna need some people. Not all. See, in order for this thing to work, they gotta depopulate first anyway. You know. But while they're depopulating, they're also setting the stage. It's all being done simultaneously. All right. It says Fox News, while acknowledging the potential downsides, so even mainstream media is acknowledging this stuff. But where the people's minds at, it's on so much other things outside of reality. That's why it says it's going to come upon them suddenly, and they shall not escape, because nobody's paying attention to these things, man. You know, they don't listen to the prophets. Like, damn. Shit. So continuing, it says, Fox News, while acknowledging the potential downsides, framed the tariffs as a necessary trade-off for long-term economic gains. You see, that's how they spin it. They tell you this thing is going to get really bad. And then you get alarmed, and then they say, but it's going to be for a time until we are able to turn around the corner and get everything back on track. Oh, okay, all right, cool. All right, so they're working on it. Don't worry about it. Yep, that's what they want. That's what they want you at. No, they're working on it. Don't worry about it. Just keep on going with it. Come take the seat here. Roll up your sleeves, bring your hands and foreheads. Let's go. It says the network quoted supporters of the policy who argue that short-term price increases are a worthwhile cost to bring jobs back to the U.S. However, even their coverage conceded that low-income families reliant on affordable imports will face the most immediate challenges. Oh my goodness. Yo, Jake. Man, hey, this is beautiful, because y'all niggas that been talking shit, I no longer part of Hebrew Israelite. You are going to feel this the most. A lot of people are going to start moving in to live with family. You know, you might think, I'm grown, I'm moving out. You're going to go back to live with your mom or your pops just so you can save some money. You know, you being able to maintain a whole house is going to be difficult. You're going to have to crash with somebody else. You're going to see that a lot. This is where you're going to start seeing Isaiah 4:1 come to play. Okay, when things get dire, a lot of these women are going to be like, it only makes sense for us to all band together, because this whole I'm strong and independent shit is not working. They're going to feel it. All right, they're going to start venting. You know, it's going to be a thing. Like, let's band together. Like, you're going to start seeing the videos. You know, nowadays, everybody just does videos and says dumbass shit anyway. But you're going to start seeing it. It's going to be the theme where these young women too, nice, fine women, they're going to be on something like, the world is getting crazy. We need guidance. Like, we need to get back to like men of God. That's the kind of spirit the Lord's going to start putting out here. You know, and then they're going to start, the Hebrew Israelite men of God, it's going to be like, and it's going to be honest, where they're honestly, sincerely looking for men of the Lord. On some like, I'm in full submission mode. I'll do anything and everything you desire, because I'm seeing what's going on. I'm seeing everything you guys said, and I know you guys have the truth. and all this hell that's about to go down, I am not trying to be a part of that. I need to be around a man like you so I can be protected from the things that's coming. And then that's when we go flex a little bit. But going back to this, the article here, and then we're going to get a quick precept and close it out. All right. It says the Associated Press underscored the human cost, citing interviews with families already struggling to make ends meet. See? So single mothers, you're gonna be in dire straits. Newborn mothers, it's gonna be hard for you to get the products for your babies, man. Remember, Yahushua said, woe to ye that give suck in those days. Things are just gonna get so hard and so difficult for you to even cater for yourself. How much more your kid, your babies, your children? Remember, you depend on the system. Especially the women, you depend on the system. You get everything you want. The system caters to you. Once the system goes down, you're on your own. And not only are you on your own, you're going to be at the bottom because the men have already established themselves that, this system is against us. We have to find a way through it. You women don't think that way because you've never been faced with that type of discrimination of a gender. Like, the system is against the men. And I always go back to Elder Apostle Gabar's testimony he did one time where he went to one of these hospitals, and the lady straight up told him, "Oh, you don't qualify for certain things, blah, blah, blah." And he got heated. He let her have it, and she confessed that, yes, you are right, because you're a man. We cater to the women because you're a man. That's why you don't qualify. It's not about how much you make or whatever. Nah. That's just what we put out there so we don't get sued for discrimination. But the reality is, because you're a man, we're going to make it 3, 4, 5 times harder for you to do some shit that women get just free. See? So when you got to maneuver through a system like that, you become built for certain things that a lot of these women have no idea even exists as a hardship. They don't even know. They don't even think about it like that. See? So when the reality hits, then they're going to be like, yo, this is what you guys were going through this whole time? Nah, hold up. They're going to start coming, looking for men of the Lord. All right? You're going to be looking for the men of the Lord. Okay? There's the book of Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. It says, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." And a lot of women are going to start pushing marriage. Like, oh, I want to go back to old school marriage. I want to go back to biblical marriage. You're going to start hearing women echoing the sentiments that we've been echoing, which is the truth. But see, reality has to be, once reality hits, their minds are going to get on straight. Let me put it that way. All of a sudden, they're going to start seeing it like, oh, you guys were right. A man can have multiple women. You could have me, my friend, and my other friend. We all need a place to stay. You could do whatever you want to us. We'll cook, we'll do the cleaning, we'll do everything. Life is hard out here. And we're going to be like, yeah, I know. But you got to find somebody else though. See, in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread. That day is when the time of trouble. Okay? Then they wear their own apparel, only let us be called by thy name, meaning what? Take us as wives. What? To take away our reproach. Okay? The reproach at that time is going to be, if you out there by yourself, you cooked. You see what I'm saying? If you out there by yourself, you're going to be cooked. All right? So let's get this one here. This is specifically for a lot of you women out there. All right? You're seeing, this is all part of your downfall. All these things that you're seeing, you better take it serious. You better take it serious and start planning. Start planning. Think about it. And start planning for real. Okay? Because things are about to get real crazy soon, man. All right, this is a book of Isaiah chapter 32. And verse 9, it says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Okay? So listen. All right, you women out there. All right, listen. Many days and years shall ye be troubled. All right, many days in a year shall ye be troubled. Ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Right? So the tariffs is going to affect everything. Okay? Your fruits, the fruits of your labor is going to even take a hit. Oh, speaking of that, I believe they said Trump has signed an executive order saying that people can't work past 32 hours. All right, 32 hours a week is the top. Like, you can't work past that. And I said to myself, damn, people work like, you know what I'm saying, like 80 hours a week, sometimes more. All right, just to make ends meet. And you saying that the most they could do is 32 hours? That's not going to do nothing. That can't help them. How much money are they going to make it off of 32 hours a week? So that means somebody's probably going to have to get 2-3 jobs, in order to make things, to make ends meet. 32 hours? 40 hours nowadays is not enough. People would be doing overtime and all that. You get time and a half when you do overtime, certain jobs and so on and so forth. So people are always looking for overtime. You out here talking about 32 hours and that's it. And then they said on top of it, the funny thing that they added to it, he said, so that Americans can have more time to enjoy their lives and do things that, they would rather be doing instead of working. This guy over here, bro. You think people... Listen, everybody is working right now. All right, everyone is working because if they don't work, they're effed. You got all these people. They said credit card debt is at an all-time high. They said mortgage was it 60 million Americans? All right, are late on their mortgage payments. Okay, a lot of cars are being repoed. Okay, that's a sign of what? A depression. The people are not going out to buy. And like I said, no stimulus checks coming in. So no buying, no selling. The system is all being transformed. See how they slowly putting a stop to you and changing everything? And once that system is established, now what? Verse 13, it says, upon the land. Oh no, it's like verse 12 is the point I want to get. They shall lament for the teats. Oh, it's like, I think I skipped it. Yep, Isaiah 32 and verse 11. There you go. It says, tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Okay, is a form of what? Stop being complacent. Okay, and get in the spirit of mourning, of grief. Okay, in other words, start thinking hard. Start getting ready. Because trouble is coming. You got to prepare for that trouble. All right, mentally, physically, whatever you got to do. Ultimately, spiritually. But we know a lot of these women ain't gonna do that. They don't even know what that is. They just be talking. All right, they be talking a whole bunch of shit. All right, annoying ass shit. When you listen to some of these videos these women be doing, Hebrews, like, you just be like, this is why the Lord's going to jack you up. It says, they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Right? You're going to be in sorrow. Immense amounts of sorrow. All right? Because the things that you used to get freely and bountifully will be taken away. Okay? Will be taken away. Your happiness, the things that made you become careless, that became your trap. That became your trap. And a lot of you men are going to be destroyed. Okay? You're going to be stomped out and destroyed. All right? So yeah, I'm gonna end it off there. Lord willing, you were edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, we'll get this last precept. And Shalom. There's a book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. In verse 15, it says, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 15 to 19. Shalom.